The Toronto Star of October 2006, David Olive writes, "In the past 2 years, more than a dozen of Canada's largest corporations, with total assets of more than $57 billion, have been swallowed by foreign predators." And the response has been, well, there really hasn't been a response. There are no calls in Parliament, any legislature, the media, or the halls of the Academe for a Royal Commission on the consequences of our economic sovereignty from this unprecedented yard sale of Canadian industrial assets. Well, perhaps no Royal Commission, but the Competition Policy Review Panel, appointed by the federal government in 2007, issued its report in June 2008. Mr. Wilson, the chair of the panel, concludes that Canada must throw open the doors to foreign ownership in telecommunications, air travel, and uranium mining, and allow bank mergers, if it is to avoid falling farther behind in the global economy. Peter C. Newman takes a contrary view. He says only in Canada would a government-appointed commission with the mandate to report on what should be done about the hollowing out of the Canadian economy recommend that what we really need is to take down the very few and very feeble protections for the Canadian ownership of our vital sectors. Media and political responses to the report are disturbing, as they reflect a complete misunderstanding of the way in which a nation-state protects its resources and assets. By the way, what do Canadians think about NAFTA today? 46% think the U.S. benefited the most from NAFTA. 30% think Mexico did. 17% are unsure. Only 7% of Canadians believe Canada has been the prime beneficiary of NAFTA. The Security and Prosperity Initiative was launched by the Canadian Council of Chief Executives in 2003. Proponents argue that the SPI, also known as the North American Union, an extension of NAFTA, is necessary in order to compete with emerging China and the European Union. They also maintain that such a union must be secured against terrorist attacks. The North American Competitive Council was established in 2006. Corporate members, along with their Mexican counterparts, have a direct influence on government policy. Without any media coverage, public forum, or consultation with environmental, social, or labor groups. The North American Union is an understanding of intent, not a legal document. As such, its fusion of corporate military interests constitutes an end run around democracy. Our prime ministers have attended secretive North American Union meetings wherein the press was not allowed and no substantive statements were issued. In August of 2007, Harper, Bush, and Calderon meet in Montebello, Quebec, and again in New Orleans in 2008, again with no media coverage. But that's not all. There are also secretive provincial regional agreements. In the West, the Trade, Investment, and Labor Mobility Agreement allows corporations and individuals to sue provincial governments for any government measure they feel restricts profits. Other provinces and some U.S. states are also interested in signing on. In the East, Atlantica aims to create a massive binational trading bloc where wages are lower, unions smaller, and regulations protecting our health and environment are weaker. All of these agreements, the lack of any public discussion or immediate debate, stresses the reality that it is citizens versus governments in the New World Order. This sellout of Canada by our own leaders is without precedent and without question the most shameful period in our history. If the North American Union succeeds, Canada will forfeit its sovereignty without a whimper. The end result of these free trade agreements, that is, the gutting of the Canadian manufacturing sector, the loss of financial and other institutions to foreign owners, and the loss of control over our own resources and governing powers, is apparently what the corporate sector wants. At best, this will weaken the Canadian economy to such an extent that it will never be able to flourish. At worst, it will lead to a balkanization, or indeed, even the end of Canada as a nation-state. This dissolution will likely be carefully controlled by a corporate media spin. It may be interpreted as a natural process in a globalized world. The front page news of June 4th, 2009 tells us that the push is on to award provincial and municipal contracts under the free trade umbrella. The spin given is that a new deal on local government spending would prevent creeping protectionism. The following day, the front page continues the spin. In the face of the loss of thousands of Canada's best manufacturing companies and jobs due to free trade agreements, there seems to be no question that the idea of negotiating a trade deal for local government procurement would be a good one. It seems, indeed, that we have not learned anything from our history.